In a few moments, we're going to go into the locked section of the graveyard. This is called the Covenanters Prison. Sorry, I've just blinded you. And beyond the gates, I'm going to take you inside one of the tombs. It's called the Black Mausoleum, and that is where all the poltergeist activity takes place. But before we go in here, I've got lots of things I need to talk to you about.
And we're back. It's episode 31.
31. Rolling along.
Episode 31.
What's this episode?
I should do you know what I should do? I should do remember how, this is how old we are. Remember back in the old days when Casey Kasem had the top 40?
No, I didn't see
and it was on the radio.
Yeah.
And every time a number came up and stuff like that, they'd be number 75. So it's I feel like I should start doing that now. And everyone listening is like, please don't do that.
Yeah, don't
please,
do it.
Please don't do that.
No,
I'm not
let's
going
not
to
take us back there.
Okay, anyway, this is episode 31.
Yeah, what's it about?
Well, we did kind of a couple of unpleasant shows the last couple weeks,
okay.
Necrophiles, serial killers, whatnot.
Yeah.
This one is a little more fun, I guess.
Okay.
Well, sort of, probably not for the people involved, but, it's kind of more of a fun, paranormal-y type of topic, I guess.
What's it called?
What?
Well, damn. I asked you 4 times, what's the name of this damn thing?
Don't be a douche, man. We're only
I'm not being
1
a douche.
minute in.
No, I'm
yeah,
just
you
saying.
are. Okay.
What's this one about?
We are going to talk about Greyfriars Kirkyard in Edinburgh,
okay.
Scotland, the most haunted cemetery in Scotland. Specifically, we're going to talk about the entity, or whatever it is, called the Mackenzie Poltergeist.
Okay. And you wrote about this for the new book that's coming out, right? This is one of the cases, right? Okay.
Yes. That's another thing.
All right.
So, my new book will be out soon. The print version is done. The ebook version is done. I'm just working on recording the audio version. And I think I mentioned it before, but it's called The Unseen Hand.
Yeah.
And it has
over 100
over
cases.
100 poltergeist type cases.
Right.
And this one is actually in there. I wrote a couple pages about
this is a huge book. It's 400 and something pages. That's the print version. So this is big old fat book.
Big old fat
book. Yeah.
About poltergeists.
It's gonna be a good one. People are gonna like this one.
Yeah, I hope so.
All right. Before we get into this, let's talk about what's been going on the podcast, because the podcast has been exploding the past couple weeks.
Yes.
We went from 1,000 total downloads on that thing, and in a period of about a couple of weeks we're down to 5,000 downloads out of nowhere.
Yeah, our downloads doubled.
They doubled
this month from last month,
and they're probably they almost look like they're in line to possibly triple. It almost looks like exponential growth.
Yeah, which is awesome.
And of course that's because of Armand.
Yeah
Armand's really doing a really good job with
Project Entertainment Network. Yeah. Shout out to Armand Rosamilia.
We'd also like to do a shout out to all the other podcasters, because turns out, evidently, according to Armand, they're all listening to our shows.
Which is very funny, because when we first started this show, like you said, we kind of started it when we met Armand, and we kind of started it sort of as a lark.
Yeah.
And I was like, no one's going to listen to our stupid rambling.
We met at a book signing, us and Armand. You might want to tell people who Armand is, because they may not
Armand Rosamilia, he does the Armcast podcast, and he's on a few other he's a horror writer, obviously.
Well-known horror writer.
Yeah. And we met him at a book signing at Gods and Monsters here in Orlando, big comic book store. And he's a super cool guy.
Yeah, we got along with him real well, and he's like, man, you know what, you guys need to be on a podcast, and he invited us on. So this is, and we were like, yeah, well, if we do it, we're going to do a good job, but we don't really care if anything comes of it. And I guess that's how things began.
Yeah.
It becomes, you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And then, kind of taken off. That's pretty neat. It's funny though, because you could tell the demographics are very different. If you look on our YouTube show, on our YouTube channel, our shows that had guests like Dr. Robert Price and the AGP, the hits on those are fantastic. Some of them, they have 6,000 views on some of them. I think one of them is approaching 5,000. The other one I think is approaching 6,000. And, that sounds like a lot. But then if you go to our podcast numbers.
Yeah, the audio podcast.
Yeah, those shows are just the same as all the other shows. It's kind of it's weird. You can tell.
Yeah, it's two different demographics. I think for the people that listen to us on YouTube and the people that listen to us on Project Entertainment. It really seems like Which is kind of good. It's kind of why we sort of go all over the place, like with the topics. I mean,
we don't know who's listening. There's a big difference.
Yeah, and like I said, we don't necessarily pick topics because we think people like that.
Right.
Not usually. We usually just we want to do stuff that we are interested in talking about.
And then to the American audience here, to you guys, we look at what's happening on the podcast to the demographics of who's downloading. We got a lot of them from like Australia and Ireland and
Turkey.
Weird.
Places like that. Which,
we never expected that.
Yeah.
So we have a pretty big international audience also.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Right, yeah. And they seem to like things that we didn't expect. Like things that on YouTube that were kind of dud shows.
Yeah.
Went over real well on podcasts.
Yeah. Like I said, you never really know what's going to hit.
Never can tell.
Like I said, that's why I don't really care. I just kind of pick a topic at random and just be like, yeah, we can talk about that for a little while.
Biggest dud we did was the UFO show. Even though that was one of my favorites. I don't know why
see,
they
now,
didn't get
that's what I see. And I try to tell you because, Tom is super into UFOs.
Fucking
He loves UFOs.
Just some of the cases, not all of them.
He always
just
wants to watch like UFO documentaries and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, that is so boring.
No.
Well, they're not. I mean, some of them are not boring, but most of them are the same thing. It's like I walked outside and I saw a light in the sky, and then 4 hours later, I just woke up and I had my butt.
Well, I like the ones with the triangles that the cops see.
Yeah,
and like Phoenix lights, not the fake Phoenix lights, not the flares.
Yeah.
The other Phoenix lights, And my mind just goes like, damn, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
If that was man-made, why would they make something like that?
I think it's kind
of... I don't
of...
think it was man-made.
The reason that I'm not as interested in UFOs is the same reason that I'm not as interested in Bigfoot. Because, one, I think it's pretty plausible that there's probably aliens, okay? Whether they've visited Earth or not, that's a different question. But, obviously there's life somewhere else in the fucking universe. Obviously. So it's not that crazy to me.
Well, it's not paranormal. It's just part of natural science.
Right, that's what I mean. It's not paranormal. Right. And also... Same thing with Bigfoot. It's like if there was a Bigfoot, I don't think there is, but if there was, it's like big deal. It's just a big monkey or it's just a big hairy person.
Some people are going to say, oh no, it's paranormal. It's a spirit. That's why we can't find the tracks anymore. So they just use that to justify.
Well, they're just pulling that out of their ass, okay? Yeah. And also I would like to, I know this is like not anything to do with the topic, but we'll get to it in a minute. But no, I was going to say, here's the funny thing about what fucking channel is that? Is it Discovery or Destination America or whatever?
Which one?
And it's like, you know how they had the show Finding Bigfoot?
Yeah.
And now they have one called Killing Bigfoot. I'm like, dude, you haven't even finding Bigfoot. You can't killing Bigfoot until you finding Bigfoot.
And that fat redneck jumps up. You can't kill Bigfoot. They're killing people.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome.
And then what was the other one where they're diving into the holes with their shotguns
and everything? I think that was
Finding Bigfoot. Finding Bigfoot.
I think that was called. But there are so many Bigfoot.
It's ridiculous.
Shows.
Ridiculous. You can't run around making all that noise with headlights and shotguns. We're looking for Bigfoot. No, there's no.
They have not found Bigfoot.
No, if there's a Bigfoot, it's gonna be up in Canada or up in Washington State or way down in one of those national parks where man hasn't set foot in thousands of years. Maybe there's something like a Bigfoot, but I kind of doubt it.
Yeah, me too.
I think they'd have found it by now.
Yeah, they would have.
Yeah,
especially something that big.
But anyway, let's get on to the show.
Okay, well, before we go, I wanted to say Project Entertainment Network, go to their Patreon, give them $1 or $2. Also, we are probably going to start a Patreon.
Oh, I forgot about that.
At some point in the next few months, whenever I get around to doing it.
We'll probably make an official announcement video when we do a Patreon.
Yeah.
It'll probably be just a simple Patreon where, you can donate 5, 10, 15 or 20 or something like that. We're not going to do it by units. Like there's a bunch of different ways where they can pay. I would just do it like 5, 10, 15.
Yeah, it'll just be some simple shit.
Yeah, and you guys can pay whatever you want just to keep the show rolling, give us incentive to keep making these things.
Yeah, even though we just do it for fun. So anyway, okay, God, we just fucking blabbed on for 8 hours. That's 8 hours, 8 minutes. 8 minutes. It seemed like 8 hours. Yeah. So anyway, okay, so the topic today, we are talking about Greyfriars Kirkyard.
Yeah, I heard of this one. You were telling me
Edinburgh, Scotland. And like I said, I wrote about this in my book, specifically the Poltergeist, but it's actually kind of an interesting, place other than that. But it was actually established in the 1500s. The reason it's called Greyfriars is because there used to be a priory there, or friary rather, and the friars wore gray robes. So
they wore gray robes?
Yeah. So after that was dissolved, in 1559, then they put the churchyard there. Okay. Now, Greyfriars is also, I just thought I would mention this because it's kind of a cute story. If you've heard the story of Greyfriars Bobby, he is a little Skye Terrier who was owned by, it was either a policeman or it could have been a farmer. They're not really sure. His name was John Gray, and he had this little dog. And the dog, apparently, after his owner died, he like sat on on his owner's grave for like, he came back and sat on the owner's grave for like 14 years.
Wow.
Until he died himself, and then they buried him in Greyfriars Kirkyard, and now there's like a little statue of him.
Okay.
It's like a little statue of him, like on top of, there's like a water fountain for people, and then at the bottom there's a little water fountain for dogs.
Okay. Cool.
But it's said too, this, and not to shit on anyone's Cheerios or anything, because there's like a big thing about the most loyal dog in Scotland, and why can't people be that loyal and stuff like that. But a lot of naysayers say that, oh, well, it wasn't the same dog. There were a lot of stray dogs, that lived in the graveyard, and people would feed them, so they stayed there. And then, like,
it was a good story, though.
Yeah, so this story kind of built up around it. So, you know, I don't know if that's true, but Greyfriars Bobby, there's a little statue of him there. Okay, so what we're going to talk about mostly is the Black Mausoleum.
Right? Already sounding good.
It's already sounding good, yeah. The Black Mausoleum. Now, the Black Mausoleum is the tomb of a person named Sir George Mackenzie.
All right.
Now, he was, in the 17th century, he was a judge and Lord Advocate, and he was put in power by King Charles II. In Scotland, to this day, he is still known as Bloody Mackenzie.
Uh-oh.
And the reason he's known as Bloody Mackenzie was because in the late 1600s, apparently there was this big schism where it was like a big religious schism, right? It's like the king wanted everyone to be, I believe it was Episcopalian, right?
Okay.
Because that was going to be the official church religion. And then there were this big group of people called the Covenanters, so-called because they would not sign the covenant to become Episcopalian because they were Presbyterian.
Okay.
And they were horribly prosecuted.
Prosecuted or persecuted?
Persecuted,
okay.
Like I said, and prosecuted also, I guess, kind of.
Right.
Because they refused to sign and they wouldn't give up their beliefs. Now, there was a huge battle in 1679, and a bunch of the Covenanters were captured. It was called the Battle of Bothwell Bridge. 3,000 of them were captured. And they were brought to Greyfriars Kirkyard by Bloody Mackenzie, where he hanged some of them, he beheaded some of them, and put their heads up on pikes so everyone could see it. He also tortured a bunch of them. And some of them went free, but some of them were imprisoned and stuff like that. So there's this big area of the kirkyard is now called Covenanters Prison. It was basically like a big open air. It was like a concentration camp. Right. Basically, is what it was.
This is what I want to know.
What's that?
What is the difference between an Episcopalian and a Presbyterian?
Well, now, see, that was another thing that I was going to say.
Yeah, what is the difference?
There doesn't seem like much difference. To me, there does. It was a big deal. I guess it was a big deal. I'm not actually sure what the difference is.
They're probably just the way they interpreted the word.
Yeah. Well, that's all it ever is.
Yeah, that's
all it ever is. But so, some of the Covenanters, like I said, most of them were killed horribly, tortured. Some of them were put on a boat, shipped off to Australia. Over the time that this Lord Advocate Sir George Mackenzie was in power, they estimate that he killed or was responsible for the death of 18,000 of these people, religious dissenters.
Damn.
Say.
Okay.
18,000.
So this isn't just a slight skirmish. This is actually a civil war.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And they still, in Scotland, still to this day, they refer to that period as the killing time.
Right.
And it's funny because it seemed like, by all accounts, this Sir George Mackenzie person, and, you know, if you see, like, I'll put a picture of him in the YouTube video, but he just looks like, you know, a 16th, 17th century dude with his wig and everything like that. But they said that he was actually, you know, he was a normal person. He had a family. He was, like, you know, real smart. He wrote books and all this other kind of shit. But still, really did not like those Presbyterians.
I bet you there was more to it than just religion. It probably had to do with land and money. It usually does.
It usually does. That's
land,
usually
money,
does kind of.
And politics, who was trying to get on the throne, and probably all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's never just religion.
Yeah. So, you know, this dude killed 18,000 people, right? He died, and they bury him in Greyfriars Kirkyard. He has a beautiful, it's actually quite a beautiful tomb. Like I said, the Black Mausoleum. Ironically, many of the Covenanters that he killed are also buried right near there, which
Now,
I'm sure they're kind of pissed off about in the afterlife.
Now is it black, or they just call it black?
It's hard to, like, in some pictures it does look black.
Okay, it's probably dark gray or something.
Yeah, it's kind of, so it does look black in some pictures, but then in some pictures in bright daylight it just looks gray.
Okay.
But so this tomb sat quietly from, the 17th century until 1998. In 1998, so the story goes, a homeless man was in the cemetery. And he was either, now some stories have it, there was a bad storm and he was looking for shelter, so he decided to break into a mausoleum, because like you do.
Right.
Or that he was just, looking for stuff to steal.
So,
like looking to loot a tomb.
All right.
So he breaks into the Black Mausoleum. Because it has these doors on it with this, like, kind of grating on the front. He breaks in there, and he's fiddle-fucking around. What?
No. Okay, I'm just saying, you're just going to say to the audience, it kind of looks like the tomb on the cover of Judas Priest's Sin After Sin album.
See, I don't remember what that looks like. Now I'm going to have to go look
now
that up.
Now these
so
metalheads are going to go, yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It might do. Well,
I saw
it.
It kind of looked like.
Is it the same one?
No, it's not the same tomb.
Okay. Well, maybe it's the same,
that same
architect
kind of style.
or whatever. Yeah.
Kind of.
Okay, so this homeless man, he breaks into the tomb, right? And then he starts fiddle-fucking around saying, hey, maybe there's some, like, valuables in some of these coffins,
so
man.
he decides he's going to become a grave robber.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Now we're back to grave robbing again.
Yeah, he's a grave robber.
He wasn't having sex with any of the corpses, though, that we know of.
Man, knock it off.
So he breaks in. I know. So he breaks into, like, some of the coffins and stuff like that. Now, while he's breaking into some of the coffins, he either falls in a pit behind him that he didn't see, or he crashes through the floor.
So there's
of
two
the
different.
tomb.
There's two different stories.
Yeah, it's like it's 2 or 3 levels down, is what it is.
Okay. How could this is the part that I don't understand. You got a mausoleum. How could there be levels below it? How does that work out?
What ends up happening, I guess, is that over time, like I said, when years pass, like, shit, you bury people under there, and then you said, oh, we're going to build a mausoleum on top of that.
Okay.
And then, you know what I mean?
All right.
Shit happens.
All right. So it wasn't part of the initial plan of the mausoleum. It just had, like, it wasn't initially planned to be like a triple decker.
No, well, evidently not, because when this homeless man crashed through the floor, he fell into an unknown, I guess, in a previously unrecorded pit, where evidently they had thrown a bunch of plague victims back in the day before the mausoleum was built.
Okay.
And accounts differ. Now, some say that he fell in the pit and it was like, because the pit had been sealed off, that the bodies weren't entirely, like, some of them were partly mummified, and, like, some of them still had hair and, like, ragged clothing, and they still stunk, like, it still smelled like.
And they would have been down there for how long? Maybe 500 years?
Yeah, something like that.
Damn.
So then he said it was, like, all slimy and gross.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, even if it
have
wasn't,
a hard time believing that.
even if it wasn't, that'd still be pretty upsetting that if you
Yeah.
fall in a pit and it's just full of skeletons and shit. It would just be like Poltergeist when she fell in the fucking pool outside.
I would think after 500 years that they'd probably just be dust, though, wouldn't they?
You would think that, wouldn't you? And especially, I don't know, though.
Okay.
Maybe it's kind of like, like those fucking, what are those, like, mummies that fall in the bog, like the bog people, stuff like that. Maybe it was that kind of situation.
I don't know. Are there any photos of this?
I don't know. I found photos of the hole.
You found photos of the hole?
Yeah.
And okay, so then it happened.
And like and I did find one picture, like when I was looking around, like researching this, I did find one picture and it looked like kind of a hole, and then there were like a bunch of bones and skeletons, but I'm not sure if that was the exact.
You think that may have not have been.
That might have been another tomb at the graveyard. Okay. Because it was just tagged with that.
Huh.
With that graveyard.
So we're not sure.
Okay. But evidently, so this guy fell in this hole.
Hold on. In this photo, because I haven't seen the photo.
Yeah.
How far down is it until you see the bones? Okay, you can't tell.
No.
All right.
I'm just telling you what the legend is.
It's just legend.
This is what the legend is. But maybe it happened. I don't know. All right. So this homeless guy falls in this pit full of bodies.
Wait, hold on 1 second. Maybe it happened. You don't know. There was no way to find out.
This is what. Well, I'll get to that.
Okay, you'll get to it. All right.
So this homeless guy falls in the pit. There's dead bodies in there. Now, he jumps out of the pit, understandably, and goes tearing off into the night. Meanwhile, there's a security guard walking around the kirkyard with his dog. And he's like, what's all that noise coming from that mausoleum over there? So he goes over to check it out and sees this homeless man tearing ass out of this mausoleum.
Okay.
Looking like shit, because I guess he fell in there. He was all slimy or stinky or whatever.
Right.
And he's like running like, holy shit, oh my God. And he runs out of the cemetery, never to be seen again.
Oh,
now,
okay. It's sounding legendary. This is sounding mythic.
Now, yeah. So then, like, according to accounts, the security guard quit the next day.
It also sounds
because he said, now, not all accounts say that, but some do.
Because
some say he's like, I quit.
In this tale, or at least in this
because I don't know if he thought the homeless guy was a ghost or what.
This is what's striking me about this tale. In this version of the legend, both primary witnesses are not available. They're gone.
Yeah, that's
problematic to me, but it's a good story. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
What happens next?
So apparently the security guy sees this guy running. He quits the next day or whatever.
Taking a rip off this thing. I have to vape, man. I know they complain about it, but go ahead. Okay.
Well, it's all right. We can't hear them complaining. We can't hear them. We just see them typing, and then I can just delete it.
All right, I interrupted.
So it might as well have not happened.
No, hearing the stories making me nervous. Go ahead.
Why is it making you nervous?
I don't know.
Nothing. I swear to God, no one is going to have sex with a dead person. I just have to keep bugging you about it because it's so funny that you get so uncomfortable. That's just hilarious to me. Okay, so like I said, before this homeless man fell into this pit, no one evidently had ever reported any paranormal activity around this particular tomb, even though its occupant was one of the most reviled historical figures in Scottish history. However, it's said that this homeless person, by knocking a hole in the floor, unleashed some type of, I don't know what.
It's like he broke down through the doorway down into the gates of hell.
It's pretty much like that.
That's how
pretty
the story
much
goes.
like that.
Okay.
And since we're coming up to the halfway point.
Already?
Yeah.
Damn.
More or less.
Okay.
So I'm going to take a break now, and then after the break, we'll talk about what maybe got unleashed by this poor man falling through the floor into the dead body hole.
Yeah, I still would like to see a photograph of that.
Well, I'll see if I can find one, but I couldn't really find one.
All right.
So
I'm getting suspicious. I'm just going to say that to the audience. Something about this that really isn't jiving at this point.
Okay, well, I'm just saying. I'm telling you what the story. It's a story. Right. It's a good story.
It's a good story.
And like I said, it's in my book, and
I'm going to reserve my judgment.
Yeah.
I'm reserve my judgment.
Don't get all.
I'm not getting defensive.
Okay. I'm going to bring up necrophilia again if you get that way. Okay.
No.
All right. All right. So we're going to take a break right now. We'll be back in just a minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, Project Entertainment Network presents the Mondo Method. Introducing the mentor, he's the greatest manager of all time, Mondo Guerrero. And parts unknown, up-and-coming superstar, the Great Buddha.
Okay, so their names are really Armand, Rosamilia, and Chuck Buddha. And old man Armand is going to teach whippersnapper Chuck how to write a book. And maybe you too, while they're at it. With marketing morsels from Aaron Sweet Almahari, exclusively on Project Entertainment Network.
Subculture Corsets and Clothing is our favorite store for unusual clothing, shoes, and accessories. They offer a wide selection of men's and women's clothing at great prices. Subculture also offers a cool selection of shoes and accessories. Steampunk, gothic apparel, retro, corsets, and so much more at Subculture Corsets and Clothing. Check out Subculture online at subculturecorsets.com. That's subculturecorsets.com. Make sure you use the discount code 13o'clock for a 10% discount. Subculturecorsets.com or visit their store in Jacksonville, Florida, just off I-95.
Watch out. There's a new terror taking over kitchens around the world. Thrills, chills, mad cooking skills.
It Cooks, a weekly podcast brimming with recipes, tips, food finds, seasonal specials, and guests galore. Hosted by horror author Amber Fallon, hey, that's me, a foodie with over 20 years experience cooking, baking, and generally making a nuisance of herself. You've watched Food Network, you've read cookbooks, but nothing can prepare you for It Cooks, coming to a device near you.
Hollow Earth,
Graphic design by Jenny Ashford. Specializing in posters and flyers. Special rates for bands and artists. Quick turnaround times. Books and CD covers. Consultations through email or Skype. Logos and packaging. Payment through PayPal. Ads and promo materials. Satisfaction guaranteed. Visit the Facebook page at Hollow Earth Design or email hecate80@hotmail.com.
All right, we're back. Okay, so homeless guy falls through the pit of the Black Mausoleum, once belonging to, Sir George Mackenzie, bit of a bastard, as the English would say. And pretty much, now it was either the next day or 2 days after this alleged incident.
Mm-hmm.
A woman was at the cemetery,
Mm-hmm.
and she peeked in through the little window there on the door.
Right.
And she claims that a huge cold wind, knocked her back off her feet. Right?
Blowing through a little door.
Blowing through the little
window
yeah,
in
if
the
you
door.
see, it's double doors and there's,
Yeah.
little square, with, a little bit of, iron grating over them. Now, a couple days after that, another woman, shut up, another woman, what are you laughing at?
Kid of mine?
What?
We were watching Star Trek last night.
Yeah, that's right, the old
whenever
Star Trek.
Whenever the ship gets hit by something and they all start rolling down one side or the other and hit Kirk rolling around in the damn chair. Honestly, the best. Imagine her doing that with the wind blowing.
The
up.
best one, and I can't remember because we watch on BBC America, on Friday nights they do a bunch of old Star Treks, and so we were watching some of I can't remember what episode it was, but holy shit, one of the red shirts in that one, in the background, he totally did a really nice gymnastic looking flip and everything.
He flipped over, he won his Academy Award.
I was gonna say that guy probably he got home and he told his mom, "Look, that's me doing the flip in the background."
Yeah, that was the one that had the giant space amoeba, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, the immunity syndrome whatever that's called.
I think it's what it was.
I think that's the one it was. But yeah, watch out for that. It was delightful.
It was hilarious.
So this woman said she was blasted off her feet by a cold wind or something pushing her. Now, a couple days after that, another woman was found in the kirkyard by the tomb unconscious, and she had strangle marks around her neck.
Okay.
And when she woke up, she said that an invisible person had tried to strangle her.
Okay.
And also, they found a man, not the same day, but I think it was, the same week or whatever. They also found a man unconscious by the tomb.
Mm-hmm. Now, hold on one second.
Okay.
Are all these witnesses documented? Do they actually have these witnesses and their testimony?
Now, the first woman, I don't think they have her name. Actually, these first three people, I don't think they have their name. They just find these unconscious people. I'm just saying, okay.
Okay.
I'm just telling you the story.
This is a good story.
Yeah, I'm just telling you the story.
We'll see.
Okay, so all these people turning up unconscious around it. And plus, now it was dangerous because the hole was open and all this other stuff. So the Edinburgh City Council says, okay, well, we're going to block off the mausoleum and keep the public away from it until we figure out what's going on.
Okay, now is this part documented? Did the city council actually do that? Or is somebody telling us that the city council
No, they did that.
Okay.
And actually, if you look, there's pictures online.
That does lead
There's pictures online of a sign that's on the thing. But yeah, you can't.
So that makes it plausible that maybe there was some problems there.
Yeah, there obviously was something going on because the city council did say, okay, they restricted access to it.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a couple more points.
Okay.
Cred points. Bing.
Cred points.
Just
okay.
a couple. Yeah.
Now, there was a local writer in Edinburgh, and his name was Jan Andrew Henderson, and he petitioned the council. He said, "Can I conduct tours of the mausoleum?"
Mm-hmm.
And they said he could, but they said, "Now you can't go around the mausoleum unless you're part of the tour."
Right.
So he started a company called, I think it's called Black Heart Entertainment or Black Heart something. And he started a quote unquote ghost tour to show people the mausoleum. I think they go all around it's called the City of the Dead tour. So I guess you can go all around the Kirkyard, and they talk about all the different, because there's like a lot of famous like people buried there and stuff too. But the Black Mausoleum is kind of the highlight of it, and you can't go to the Black Mausoleum unless you're part of this tour, like the official tour. Okay. Now, since that happened, like since the tour started, the website. Now, I don't know if the council keeps track of this or if the website of the tour company keeps track of this. They have reported almost 500 incidents of paranormal activity, most of it violent, most of it directed toward people in the tour group.
Okay, back up. Who reports this again?
Different people on the tours.
And they were okay. So the people from the tours are reporting this.
And
they're reporting it to whom?
They usually report it. Well, they report it to the tour company. Like I said, the tour company keeps a record, and they take photographs and things like that.
Okay.
So they're not sure. Like I said, I don't think any paranormal activity was reported before the dude fell through the floor. So now they're thinking that this guy falling through the floor, this is either the ghost of Bloody Mackenzie coming back to fuck with shit again in life, or it's all the ghosts of the plague victims that are mad about their sleep being interrupted. I suppose.
Now, what is actually being reported?
Okay, so here are the things that are reported. Most common reported, people blacking out. Okay. There have been about almost 200 reports of that, people going unconscious. Okay. And they said that happens pretty often on tours. Usually at least one person will black out, okay? People report being scratched or hit, and then later on, and there's pictures of it online, then later on they'll have these strange, their back will be covered with scratches, or their arms will be covered with scratches, or they'll have burn marks. And sometimes they show up while they're still on the tour. Sometimes they don't show up until afterward.
Most of that stuff's kind of subjective.
Right.
And could be faked.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying it didn't happen. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, people also have reported strange noises, knocking, growling, laughter.
All right.
People report fires.
Okay. Fires where? Any details on that?
Well, here's the thing. The guy that runs the tour, the Henderson person. Now he later wrote a book about the Mackenzie Poltergeist. I think it was called The Ghost That Haunted Itself, because he lived across the street from the cemetery for a while, so he kind of got interested in it. It should be noted that his house and the tour offices burned down mysteriously. Like, apparently the insurance investigators couldn't find any cause for them.
Maybe those insurance wires got crossed.
Yeah, you know how that happens.
Caused a few sparks.
You know how that happens. Yeah, so like another thing that people report too, they report like pieces of their skin being gouged out. But other things, bruises, stuff like that. And a lot of people say they feel nauseated. That's subjective. That's subjective also. Sorry, I burped. That was pretty gross. Also, dead animals are often found around the tomb, like in larger numbers than you would expect, let's say. Also, evidently there are 4 houses very close to the cemetery, like around the cemetery, that have also reported poltergeist activity in the form of small fires, object apportations, and, dishes and shit flying around. Okay. So, they're not super sure. I don't know how true the story is about the homeless man falling, because no one names the homeless man, obviously, and he never turned up again. Right. And in every source of the story, it says the security guard saw him and freaked out. Some of them say he quit the next day, but none of them can give his name.
Yeah, that's suspicious. And let me ask you this. Is there any record of them repairing the floor inside that mausoleum?
Yeah, see, I don't know about that. Yeah. I mean, obviously something weird happened there, or there was something going on around there. I don't know if it was vandals or something like that, because the city council did intervene. And they said people, they didn't want people to go around it anymore.
A lot of the stuff that's being reported around this tour, to me, is kind of suspicious. Everything kind of sounds like that would be in the tour's advantage for that kind of stuff to happen.
Right. And see,
Some of
that's...
this, I mean, what happens, you find dead animals, let's take them down to where the tour is and throw those down in there. You know what I mean? Maybe we'll have a buddy hide behind this tombstone and make it howl or laugh while the tour goes through. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then maybe the tour doesn't do that well unless, maybe those insurance wires get crossed on the tour and where the guy lives, burn that down, cash in on it. I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Well, see, and that's the problem. And like I said, I ran into this a lot when I was writing my book, of which this is going to be. It's going to be in there. You don't know really. I mean, and in this case, it does seem like there's a little bit of a profit motive because, yeah, this guy wrote a book about the thing. He obviously gives tours and tourists go there, and apparently it's fairly successful.
Right.
This ghost tour that he does. And also, and I love this, Scotland, I love you because this is so awesome. They have like a little gift shop at Greyfriars Kirkyard.
Yeah.
And the gift shop is called the Creepy Wee Gift Shop. Creepy Wee. Because, in Scotland, everything is tiny wee.
I see.
Tiny. So it's Creepy Wee.
Not feeling it.
So... I thought it was darling. No. I don't know why you're hating.
I got too much testosterone to find that darling.
Well, that's your problem. But now some people are super hardcore about this, right?
I'll tell you one thing. I would like to go see this.
Right.
Just to get a feel for the place. I don't want to talk bad about the guy who's running the tour. I don't want to talk bad about this situation. I really do. I would encourage people to go check it out.
Yeah.
Just to see.
Yeah.
I find I'm feeling skeptical, but I would like to go see it.
I mean, it does seem like, okay.
And I've been skeptical before, and I've been wrong for being skeptical.
Yeah.
But I still would. I'm still just kind of hemming and hawing on this a little bit. I need to know more. Yeah. I'm interested.
Now there are some witness accounts. Okay, now this guy who's unnamed, he wants to remain anonymous. He was a police officer.
Okay.
But
wait, hold on. An anonymous police officer?
Yeah, well, he used to be a police officer.
And it's anonymous.
And he says he doesn't want his name.
So we can't prove it.
Right.
Yeah,
But this is what he said.
We can't prove this, but this is what he said. That this unprovable man actually said this, but let's see what this unprovable man said. Because he's not going to step forward. He's anonymous. I can pull an anonymous anything out of my ass,
Right.
Come on. Stop.
Well, this is what he said.
Okay, let's see what he said.
This is what he said.
Right.
Now, he went on the tour, right?
Okay.
He said, after the tour, I decided to go back to our hotel room. I was glancing at The Ghost That Haunted Itself, which was the book about the Mackenzie Poltergeist. Okay. When I felt a sharp burning sensation.
This sounds like a plug. This sounds like a plug.
I know. When I felt a sharp... Well, shut up. Let me read it.
Okay.
When I felt a sharp burning sensation on the right side of my neck, there were at least 5 deep scrapes that appeared just under my Adam's apple. On returning home the next morning, I went straight to my mother's house and told her my tale, along with handing her the book, which I decided I did not want in my home. Yesterday, I phoned her and asked her what she thought of the book. Remarkably, she was just examining 5 large scratches under her Adam's apple that were identical to my own. I'm not the sort of individual who frightens easily, but hand on heart, I'm very frightened now. The phenomenon you have in that graveyard prison is very real, he says. Okay. Whether this is a real person or not, it does sound. That
sounds like a plug for the book.
I was gonna say that almost kind of sounds like. And if you're a real person, dude, I'm sorry, but it sounds like how some of those like restaurant owners will go on Yelp and write and give themselves a really good review, like it's from somebody. This is the best restaurant ever, and
this book is so scary. We don't want it in our house.
And the owner is so handsome and awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's I don't know. I kind of feel like it's that kind of thing. They do warn you, like I have a little bit of, there's videos of it on YouTube.
You sure this is not the Scottish version of the Blarney Stone? I think this might be the Scottish version of the Blarney Stone.
Well, it's not as well known as the Blarney Stone.
Okay.
But like I said,
they piss on that Blarney Stone.
Who does?
The tour guides and Irish people.
Yeah.
When I was living in Boston, I dated an Irish girl, and she told me, they make all the foreigners kiss this Blarney Stone, and at night when the tours aren't there, we come out of the bar and fucking piss on that thing.
That totally sounds like something I would do.
The Irish are doing that shit, you know. They say they come here to see their ancestors, and all their ancestors are dead.
That's hilarious.
Don't tell the Irish that you're there to see your ancestors.
Okay,
right?
so, if you ever go to Ireland, don't kiss the Blarney Stone.
Don't kiss that
Pro
fucking
tip.
Blarney Stone. And don't tell them that you're there to see your ancestors.
Yeah, they probably tend
They
not
laugh
to
at you and tell them they're all dead.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay. So, now, here was another thing. Also, they also, like, a lot of people reported, like, weird smells, sulfur, that kind of thing. Like, it was from hell, obviously. I guess that's why sulfur. Now, they've also had a couple people in to do exorcisms.
Okay.
A spiritualist minister named Colin Grant.
So at least we have a name.
Yeah, he did
Okay.
an exorcism. Now, his son did one a year later. Neither of them worked, evidently, but Colin...
Wait a minute, I have a question.
Okay.
I have a question. Why would a profitable tour want to get rid of their cash cow by exorcising it away? Did they do it?
I don't know. It just says exorcisms were performed in the passive voice.
Okay.
So I'm
We'll
not
see.
sure, like...
But we do have a name for that.
Here's the thing. Would the city council call in an exorcist? I doubt it.
No, that's
Would an exorcist... Well, maybe an exorcist would just go there of their own volition.
Maybe that happened.
But that could be.
And then they claimed, well, it didn't work.
Yeah.
Kind of odd. Okay. But no, this is a good string of Blarney.
Even though that's Irish.
Yeah.
I'm never going to forget. I wouldn't
Do
kiss
not kiss that of Blarney
Well,
Stone.
I wouldn't do that anyway because
Okay.
that's fucking gross.
All right.
I'm like, that, even if people weren't pissing on it, that's still
Yeah.
not very sanitary, I'm just
No.
saying. But, so Colin Grant was a minister and he did an exorcism. Now his son did one a year later. However, the first one that Colin Grant did, he did the exorcism, it didn't work. And then a couple, I don't know how long, how soon it was after that. Some people said a week, some people said 2 weeks. Colin Grant mysteriously died.
Okay.
Of a heart attack, or they're not really sure why.
Did this guy actually exist?
I don't know. I'm just telling you.
All right, okay.
I never met the guy.
Okay.
I never met the guy. So they don't know if, the ghost got him.
Right.
That's the only, death, really, I think,
Now, when
that
you
they've
wrote about
ever
the case,
attributed.
when you wrote about the case, what did you say? I mean, is he included in this part of the story?
Yeah.
He is? Okay.
Yeah.
And could you find out whether or not he actually existed? You have to go back in there before they hit the print. Fucking tweak that shit up. Did that guy actually exist?
I just go by sources, okay?
You just went by the source that said it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Several different sources say a minister named Colin Grant was there.
Okay.
He did an exorcism.
All right.
And then several different sources say that a week or two later, he was dead.
Okay.
Now, his son did an exorcism too, and as far as I know, his son's still alive, so it didn't get him.
All right.
But,
just checking.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, so, like I said, there are also several houses around the tomb that have reported poltergeist activity, dishes flying around and stuff like that. And as I mentioned before, the writer who runs the tours, in 2003, a fire, pretty much demolished his house and his offices. And he said that he lost everything, even all the information he had about the poltergeist, all his shit.
Okay.
Gone. So he said the only reason he still had a few things was because he had some files on a different computer, but he said that, so his house and office were destroyed. And he did not want to, he said, well, after that, I didn't really want to live around the cemetery anymore. Understandably.
Yeah.
And, so, I mean, he said, I read an interview with him, and, he said the insurance investigators came and they could not find any arson. They couldn't find any reason for it or anything like that. He said, it wasn't me, I promise.
Okay, well,
he's
then,
like, I wouldn't burn down my own shit.
Maybe I judged the man too hard. Either that or he's just really skilled.
He might be. I mean, he might be committed, man. You don't know. It's I'm going to burn my own shit down.
I know how they work. I know how to do this. Set it here right by the water heater.
Because that's how that goes.
That's how that goes. Yeah.
But, so like I said, and also this is not super relevant, but they said that in 2004, they actually arrested 2 teenage boys who had broken into the tomb, stolen a skull, and were kicking it around like a soccer ball.
Okay. Okay. Well, there's a contributing bit of evidence.
Yeah.
there's a lot of shenanigans going on and tomfoolery going on.
Shenanigans
and tomfoolery going on inside that cemetery.
And jiggery pokery
that may have actually inspired the creation of this case.
Although, like I said, yeah. Because, I mean, these two kids got caught in 2004.
Right. Maybe that's why they roped off the cemetery and
No,
down.
It was roped off in 1998.
Maybe it started all the way back there in 98.
Yeah, maybe. So people might have been just...
Because of the chicanery.
Yes. I was actually going to say that word. You beat me to it. Ever since the guy burst through the floor, almost 500 reports, and they keep a detailed log. Mm-hmm. If you go on the tour and something bad happens to you, you get hit or you pass out or you throw up or you get, broken fingers. That's also a very commonly reported thing.
Wait, hold
Your
on,
fingers
hold
get
on.
broken.
Okay, now hold on. Are these broken fingers confirmed?
I don't know. All I saw was some
reported or just
some
confirmed?
Pictures reported.
Reported. Okay.
I saw some pictures of some X-rays of some broken fingers.
If we can get a confirmed broken finger out of there, doctors and everything, okay, maybe even on video, I would give this a little more cred points.
See, here's what's killing me though, because if this is something paranormal, okay, I'm not as weirded out by the whole paranormal. It's like, something scratched me and then there's scratches on your back. How would it just break your finger? You just be standing there, minding your own business, and then all of a sudden,
Well, how did you handle this case in the book when you wrote about it?
I basically, like I said, in most
like you're handling it now, basically.
Well, I'm not laughing at it in the book because, like I said, in the book, I just wrote down. I said I wrote down the shit that people said they saw.
Okay, all right.
That's all.
Because that's all you can really do.
That's what I mean. I wasn't like editorializing.
Did you give an opinion afterwards?
Not on that particular one. No.
All right.
I just said this is what. Okay. So I said ever since people on the tours, people go on the tours. Now a lot of people go on the tours and nothing happens.
Right.
Okay. But it's often enough. And they say sometimes there'll be like, a few weeks or a month or something where nothing really happens, like on the tours. And then suddenly there'll be like a flurry.
Okay.
Like they'll have a tour group and like a couple people will pass out and a person will get bit or something like that. Right. Or they'll hear some shit. Some people have taken pictures and there's like weird like light anomalies like in front of the shit. Like, and it's not orbs, it's like weird like ghosty looking things. Okay.
Well, I think, our regular audience here will know that, I am not a disbeliever. I have actually seen real paranormal phenomenon before in the form of traditional poltergeist or classic poltergeist in terms of what a parapsychologist would say, which is basically RSPK. So I'm not a disbeliever, but I am automatically skeptical of any kind of tours, not necessarily just this one, any tour. I'm skeptical. Any of these haunted hotels, skeptical.
Because they have a reason.
Yeah, there's a reason for all.
That doesn't necessarily mean it's bullshit.
And that doesn't necessarily mean I'm saying this guy's full of shit. I wouldn't go to. No, hell no. I'd go on that tour. I'd go on that tour just because I'm curious.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah, I'd go on it. I'd like to see
it. Plus, I got to say that the Greyfriars Kirkyard is gorgeous.
Yeah.
I would love to go see it.
And if this is a hoax, then it's a profitable business, and then kudos to the dude.
And
he made a good story. Is a story enough to where I'd like to go see it.
I totally want to go to the creepy wee gift shop.
Yeah,
but also
I'd want to go just to see if that floor is busted out inside that mausoleum. But I guarantee they got that door shut.
Well, yeah, I don't know if they let you actually go inside the tomb. It's not very big. Like the tomb isn't very big. It's not like you're thinking like it's this big giant.
It's just like the one on the Sin After Sin album cover from Judas Priest.
Like that.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's not that big.
Yeah.
Now, here's something that you might find interesting because I know, you and me, we kind of talk about what could cause poltergeist activity. Because basically, even though they said now the paranormal activity allegedly didn't start until, the tomb was broken into, so leading some people to believe that it's a ghost, quote unquote, like an angry ghost. But see, most of the activity that's reported is very poltergeist-like. Okay. Now,
it's not a poltergeist situation.
Right, because it's been going on for years and years. It's been going on for...
like interactive haunting.
Right, but here's the thing, and you might find this interesting because I don't think I've ever heard anyone espouse this
If it's real, this is an interactive haunting. Yeah. Probably. Okay.
Because I don't think I've ever heard anyone espouse this particular theory about poltergeist causation before. And actually now I should add this to the book because I never heard this before ever.
All right.
But apparently the people, like the tour guides, will say this on the tour because the like I said, the houses around the tomb also have some poltergeist activity, and people that have been on the tour said that the shit followed them back home. Like when they got back home or when they got back to their hotels, light bulbs would explode, that kind of shit. Poltergeist
Kind of like
activity.
the Haunted Mansion at Disney.
Right. Yeah, it's following you home.
Okay.
But like I said, so somebody came up, I think it was Alan Gauld maybe, who I think I mentioned in my book in another case. He came up with the theory that poltergeist activity is related to human pheromones. Have you ever heard that theory before?
No.
I didn't think we'd ever talk about that.
No, never heard that one.
Because I was
I was thinking maybe related to mass psychology. Maybe like a group of people might get psychically keyed up and actually manifest it.
They have
But
people have floated that idea
but
too.
I never thought of the idea that...
I think, and actually, in a way, I think they're kind of saying the same thing. Like, people's pheromones are mixing in weird ways. And also they said this might explain why poltergeist activity tends to happen around adolescents.
With a bunch of witnesses.
And stuff like that.
Yeah, that's how mine happened.
Right.
And I always thought there was a group synergy behind it. But I don't think it has anything to do with hormones, or pheromones.
Yeah.
In terms of like
group
pheromones.
Right.
Maybe pheromones and hormones coming out of the actual adolescent.
Yeah.
But I never thought of it that way. I'd have to see some evidence.
Yeah. Because they said, well, that would explain why poltergeist activity, like I said, generally happens around adolescents, and also why in this particular case it supposedly follows people home. Like, certainly follows people home. Like, maybe some people are, like, pheromonally, predisposed to have poltergeist follow them around. I don't know. But that, I had actually never heard that.
That's a different interpretation of what...
Hypothesis before.
Of what I've said and what other...
That's what I mean. That's why I thought I would mention it.
Parapsychologists have said going back to the 50s.
Because,
it's just a play on that. Almost kind of like somebody regurgitating a misunderstanding of it. If you ask me.
Well, because like I said, there was actually a paper, I think it was in 2004, and I think I mentioned this in this book. There was a paper in a journal called Neuroquantology, and they posited that...
Take a rip off that thing. I can't stand it, man. I can't stand it. My nerves.
Why? Why are you nervous?
Just joking.
Okay.
I just need a hit. It's like you need to take a hit off a cigarette.
Okay. But so in this paper, they said a similar thing. They said that that maybe when adolescents go through puberty, that there's some kind of like weird electron fluctuations in the brain that can cause effects outside of the body for a brief period of time. Okay. So that's almost like saying it's pheromone related. I just never heard anybody specifically mention pheromones.
That's just a more
to do with
That's just a more primitive description of Dr. Hameroff's quantum soul theory.
Yes,
that's all that is. It's just a different way of describing that same fact. It's the same thing I'm saying.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I thought I'd mentioned pheromones because I'd never heard that mentioned before.
Well, I think hormonal imbalances and stressors and things like that could actually cause this condition where, some kind of subatomic particles, on the Planck scale, quantum particles can somehow interact with other quantum particles at a distance in the same way you have spooky action at a distance, But the one that really, and I'm not the one to answer that, that'd be Stuart Hameroff's job to describe that. That can be pretty complicated. Anybody who tells you that they understand quantum physics is lying. Because the guys that understand quantum physics don't understand quantum physics.
Well, it's just, it's not, our brains are not really, didn't really evolve to understand that type of thing.
Right.
Because that's not how we perceive the world around us.
How one particle can be in two different places at the same time. You know what I mean? That's just not, we're not built to understand that.
But,
it just means space and time, or the space-time continuum, is not as real as we think it is.
Yeah.
Or not as linear as we think it
like
is.
I said, I'm always okay, now, if we're saying that the Black Mausoleum, if there is something like sort of paranormal going on there, I almost find it more, it's like, I don't think it's a ghost or nothing like that. I almost think it's more interesting that all of the people going there, like expecting to see something,
right, might set the conditions.
Might somehow be able to, I don't know, like almost be like the catalyst for something happening. Like, because that many people wanting something, I mean, you think that can have some kind of effect. My
default setting, especially when it comes to things like tours, like I said before, tours and haunted hotels, my default setting is skepticism.
Mine too.
I have to see it myself.
Yeah.
I'd see it myself. And, I'd like to go and see. Actually.
Yeah, I would too. Because, like I said, once they have a tour and stuff like that, it's kind of incentive to hype it up and go, oh, it's the most dangerous poltergeist. You're gonna get bit. You're gonna get stabbed.
Yeah, they're selling an experience, and when you sell an experience like that, who knows? You might have some chicanery and tomfoolery and all the things that they do over there.
And don't forget the jiggery pokery.
And you might have some of that mixed with maybe some mass hysteria and psychosomatic type.
Yeah,
manifestations.
Because that's kind of the sad thing about this is it seems
it's going to be kind of not in a controlled environment. So oh, something bit me. Oh, really? Something bit you? Well, damn, we got to write that down. And you can't really prove it.
That's what I mean.
Something touched me.
And that's and that's why I'm really that I really can't get down with those ghost hunter shows and stuff like that because it's all. Oh, did you hear that? Did you smell that? It's like, no, I'm not there, dude. I can't. Something touched me. It's like there's no.
And it always tends to be some kind of young lady who doesn't normally get touched. It's always her saying, "I guess, oh, it touched me."
I wish someone would touch me.
I was finally touched.
Oh, man.
Okay. Yeah. You're sending me down a pathway to the darkness that I can't follow. Never mind.
Oh, darkness. I thought you said retardedness.
No. Both.
I was going to say, it was retardedness too.
Both. Have we pretty much covered this now?
I think so, yeah. Oh, shit. It's okay. We're almost at the end of the show.
Look at time.
Okay. So, anyway, what were we going to say at the end? Now I forgot what I was
going to say, I'd like to go see it. Go check it out.
Yeah. I actually would too. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
Even if I'm
skeptical, but I'd like to go check it out.
Even if I don't get butt horked by a ghost.
Oh,
it would still, I brought up butt horking. Yeah.
Yeah. I made that up. We made that up when we were in high school playing a video game called Rastan. Yeah. And it was like a Conan the Barbarian game, a bunch of running and jumping, kind of like Mario. And whenever he'd fall into the pits, there were some spikes over there, and it would land on his. It looked like it landed on his ass. And a friend of mine said, "Man, he got butt horked. He's horked because he would make these weird horror, It's just funny.
So now to this day, like everything is
butt horking.
Everything is butt horking. Yeah. So now you guys can use that term too.
Butt hork.
That's how I'm gonna hashtag this show.
I don't remember the
hashtag butt hork.
I don't remember the exact sound effect Rastan would make when he landed on him, but maybe one of our viewers might remember.
My alias.
They might remember. Maybe you can find a sound bite, put that in
I'm
there.
sure you can. It's the
Rastan dying.
That shit hurts, man.
Yeah.
Ask Vlad the Impaler. He knows that's why he did that to everybody.
Yeah.
So anyway, okay, all right. So we're going to shut up now.
You shut up and let it ride.
Yeah, so we're going to get to the end of the show. And let's see. What do I usually say? Don't forget to go and check the Project Entertainment
and remember
Network
to plug the
Patreon.
shirts. We got some cool shirts. We got a new shirt you just did the other day.
Yeah, I just did a new logo shirt. It's kind of similar to the other one, but it's kind of like a different kind of vibe going on. And that is going to be available on the Project Entertainment Network store.
Yeah. And Jenny's wearing the Satanic Panic shirt. See,
this moment.
Yeah, right this moment. See, we just make our own cool T-shirts, huh?
That's right.
I know.
I just make my own fucking shit. Make my own clothes. Well, I don't make them.
Yesterday, I was running around with a shirt of me and you on it.
Yeah.
Our little logo that says 13 o'clock.
That was so funny. You were that Walgreens the other day, and the lady behind the counter was like,
that's you guys.
Hey, that's you guys.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, it is. And I said, we don't even look. And you were you had shaved your head.
I was bald at the time,
so you didn't even look as much like you. But she still recognized.
Yeah, I'm growing the hair back a little bit though.
Yeah, I guess I decided I like the hair better.
Yeah,
you looked good bald too, though.
I think I'm gonna dye that blonde.
Really?
Look like something off of Duran Duran.
You gonna go Duran Duran again?
Yeah.
I liked the blonde hair.
Okay.
It was nice. So anyway, go to the Project Entertainment Network, their Patreon, and
look like Nick Rhodes.
Look at her.
put my mascara on.
Yeah, do it. It's all right. I won't tell anybody.
I'll wear it to the club. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know you do.
All right.
I know you do. So anyway, what?
I'm not gonna put on mascara.
Why not?
I'm just not.
Okay.
End the show. End the show.
All right. Okay, well, since musical interlude. Since this is about graveyard, I decided.
Don't announce it. Just play it.
Okay.
Don't announce it. Just play it.
All right. Well, I'm not going to tell anybody what it is.
Surprise them with it.
Okay, I'll surprise you. It'll be a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if you like the show, remember, go follow us on Twitter. Go like our Facebook page. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. You know how that goes. Okay. And that's the end of the show. And come back next week for another rambling bullshit session.
That wasn't bullshit. Gotta go.
Gotta go. See you next week. Bye.
dreaded sunny day, so I'll meet you at the cemetery gates. Keats and Yeats are on your side. A dreaded sunny day, so I'll meet you at the cemetery gates. Keats and Yeats are on your side.